Welcome to Solutions from the Yard, a candid discussion about life behind bars and its effect on society. We'll discuss reintegration or reentry back into the community post-incarceration. Your host for this episode is Charles Hopkins.
Welcome to this edition of Solutions from the Yard. I'm Charles Hopkins, and today with me is my co-host, Michael Dickerson. Michael Dickerson, say hi to the Solutions from the Yard viewers and listeners.
How you doing? How you doing, brothers and sisters? Peace.
All right, and today we have we're gonna be exploring barriers to reentry for older adults leaving incarceration. And today we have a remarkable individual with us that's gonna tell you a little bit about himself before we go into asking some questions about his experience. Mr. Russell, introduce yourself to the Solutions from the Yard listeners and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Good evening out there, everyone. I'm Charles Russell. I am a 72-year-old native Washingtonian who carries the title of career criminal. I was branded career criminal at the age of 49, sent to federal prison. And in 2016, President Obama commuted my sentence so that I was able to enjoy liberty once again.
Okay. And in terms of what type of things have you accomplished since you've been home? Talk about some of your accomplishments, because I know you have done some things. So talk about some of the things so our viewers can get a broader perspective of who you are.
Okay, well, as I said, President Obama commuted my sentence, so I was in a situation, unlike most guys who were released from prison, I had no idea I was going to be released. It was a surprise. So I had not made a lot of preparations for the return to the community. Sort of like throw him in the pool and see if he can swim.
Okay. Then we're going to pick it right up there. Let's see if we can give you a life preserve. All right. So, okay, now, in terms of today's topic is reducing the barriers to reentry for older adults leaving the institutions. And it says from a document from the Justice Policy Institute, they say as a result of decades of state and federal laws on tough on crime and mass incarceration policies, about 2.3 million people are locked up in more than 6,000 jails and prisons across the United States. More than 600,000 individuals are released from prison each year. Another 9 million people recycle through local jails annually. And then it goes on to say, because of structural racism and in the criminal justice system, poor people of color, particularly black, have been and continue to be more likely to be incarcerated and receive harsher sentences. Moreover, blacks and Latino people are incarcerated at much higher rates than non-Latino whites. And people with disabilities are greatly overrepresented in the prison population. And here, the prison population is also graying. The proportion of older adults in prison in the United States nearly tripled in 1999 to 2016, from 3% to 11%, and is projected to increase to more than 30% in 2030. Older adults in prison report higher incidence of chronic conditions and physical and mental disabilities, including an inability to independently complete activities of daily living. A study of incarcerated persons ages 55 and older found that 40% have cognitive impairments. Okay, Mr. Russell, how old was you when you was released from prison?
I'm going to say I was 67. My birthday is in October, and I was released a few days before my birthday, so I turned 67 shortly after leaving
prison.
And
how much time did you serve prior to being released?
17 years, 11 months, 23 days.
Okay.
7 days short of 18 years.
Okay. Mike?
I just want to elaborate
Go
on
ahead.
the career criminal part.
Go ahead.
And we you know, our last show we was talking about the recidivism rate, and that's the thing that stood out to me when the brother was giving his testimony, is how they, you know, labeled him as a career criminal, you know, and it's a career criminal is really synonymous to the recidivism.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because you are constantly coming in and out. But one of the key things that stood out when the brother said he was released and didn't even know he was coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, you know, no, not to speak bad or radical, even though President Obama did something good by pardoning him, they still did an injustice by not even allowing him to know that he was coming home so he could prepare to come home. So he can start to set some form of a foundation, you know, so that he can, you know, stay afloat and don't have to go back to the streets and have to think about breaking law or be into a situation where as though you in a desperation mode. Because we know that, man, sometimes your conditions, you know what I'm saying, dictate your choices. And when your circumstances dictate your choices, you know, in a situation like that, coming home, that's a circumstance. Have nothing, don't know which direction you're going to go, that's going to sometimes dictate your choices. And that is going to lead to recidivism. You know, and that's one of the things that I say it was a gift and a curse when I'm just hearing his testimony, because what you think a person going to do if he come home with nothing, not prepared, nobody know he's coming home, and then you turn around, you expect him to, after doing 17 years, he's going to be successful? It baffles me how, you know, just him telling that testimony, you can see the holes in it when they trying to do something right.
Right. And like you say, in that regard, you dealing with a person that, what you just outlined, you dealing with someone that might have physical capabilities. But we talking here about the problem now, a person that's up in age, just they suddenly ambush and go home.
Exactly.
And okay, without no help. What was your state of health when you was released? And what's your state of health now?
Well, I was a very sick man when I was released.
Can you speak on some of if you don't want to?
I'm not ashamed of, you know, what life has brought to me, dealt me, the hand I've been dealt. I mean, I'm lucky to be alive, so mm-hmm. I'm grateful. But yeah, I left prison with prostate cancer, mm-hmm. Severe compression of the lumbar spine, which affected my mobility seriously. I had some stomach problems, something called Barrett's syndrome. It just, you know, made it. People thought I was dying from cancer when really it was problems I was having with my digestive system. Mm. You know, made it look like a skeleton.
Mm-hmm. And in this study, it said that in recent years there has been an uptick in the number of persons released from prison overall, particularly older adults, fueled by both the desire to contain escalating healthcare costs. So you just said that while you was locked up, you was racking up a medical bill that they definitely ain't want to foot, and so that might have had something to do with Obama saying like, or kick you out. Mm-hmm. And reform, it said, growing consensus for criminal justice reform has brought increased interest in the policy supporting elderly release adults for compassionate, health-related, and other reasons. All right. So now, in terms of you just identified your health, and we recognize that in the BOP, in the criminal justice system, in the prison industrial complex, health for prisoners is one subpar. That's the standard. It's not, you ain't gonna get no adequate health care. I know when I was locked up, they misdiagnosed individuals and was told individuals they had stomach ulcers. Wind up they had cancer. When it got to the point where it was irreversible, they took and said, well, they ain't say we misdiagnosed you. They said that we're going to now start treating you. Okay, we're going to treat you for, you got a laceration on your artery and you bleeding half to death. We're going to treat you, give you a Band-Aid, and say that if it don't congeal, hey, die if you not, die if you will. Mike, go ahead, Mike.
I want to pose this question. Prior to going to prison, did you have a work history? If so, how many quarters towards Social Security retirement did you get?
Well, that's two questions. The answer to the first one is not really. My longest work experience continuous work experience was about 2 years. I worked for a law firm, doing general services kinds of things. But I developed an interest in the law in the process. And my interest in the law bloomed when I was in prison. That's where I spent most of my time, in the law library. I was a clerk and trying to get myself out and trying to help as many other people as I could.
And in that regard, Mike, I'd like to ask you something, because you deal with getting people jobs. You work for Voice for a Second Chance, and one of your responsibilities is employment specialist, and you're doing a good job at that. How do you when the elderly individual come in, what's your assessment, initial assessment, and as it relates to your knowledge of the job landscape? How do you assess? How do you make a determination on what you're going to try to do for him in terms of, or her, to get a job?
Well, the first thing I do is ask. I'm gonna ask them about their health. That's the first thing I do, because you have guys that might come out of prison and they are in pretty good health, such as yourself, and you've been working out your whole bit. So I done seen guys come out of prison in their early 70s, they be ripped up, still in good shape, because they never really had no health issues. Now, when I see a brother or sister that, been kept up like that and they never had no health issues, then I will ask them, what do you think you were able to do?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to ask them what you think you were able to do, because I can see clearly that you are in good shape, what your mobility, stuff like that. I done observed when you came into the office, your mobility, how you, your posture and all that. I could tell that, what I'm saying, you've been keeping yourself up. So that'll be my first assessment, is my visual contact. And then that way I can basically assess what type of job or program I'm gonna push you towards.
Right.
And especially when it comes to age, because I'm gonna try to put you in some type of program that's suitable for you, where they won't discriminate. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're going to discriminate. Age, they going to always discriminate. They not going, like, when they come to getting on top of that roof like I had to do, I was 53 years old. They wasn't going to put me on no roof.
Right. Because
I was more of a liability.
Right.
So they was, when I was going through solar modular, school, they was basically hiring a lot of the youth, 21, 22, because they didn't want to put me on that roof. So when I do my assessment, I'm gonna try to point them in the direction where, as though whatever they go into is age friendly. I'm gonna try to put it, where it's age friendly, because I know the obstacles that's gonna come. I know where the discrimination gonna come. You see what I'm saying? Because we in the workforce that demands a certain age bracket.
That's right.
So, when these barriers that we are talking about, it's really not meant for a guy that done 20, 30, 40 years like we just seen, and you come out elderly. Mm-hmm. and you still have to work because you don't have no credits on the Social Security section.
Right.
You don't have no credits on that, so you still got to come out and work. Because right now, for real, I'm supposed to be getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
You know, I'm supposed to be, but I'm still trying to plan to see how I'm gonna make some money. So when I get to the point of retirement, you know what I'm saying. So it's different from a guy that when you come home and you beyond 50 years old. Right. The whole job complex is very what I want to say. It's perplexing, and it's also it's a difficult task when you come home at a certain age.
But suffice to say that in your field of work, it's not to your doing. In your field of work, you can't subscribe no career job for somebody that's 65 and 70 years old.
No, it's gonna be temporary.
Right.
I'm gonna send them wherever I think the money is at.
Right. So
that's for them.
Right.
You know, whether I have to send them someplace just to put some money in their pocket temporarily.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna do because I know that's the only thing he can really get.
That's right.
Because there's no longevity in it.
Mm-hmm. And to that regard, Mr. Russell, cause we asked you about your work history prior to going in, and then we asked you about
Social Security.
So now, all right, we know that you don't have the quarters to get it, and you already by your own admission, health wise, you're not in a position to like. By the time you get the quarters, you might be a quarter feet deep. Right? So we already know that part, right? That's the probability, right? That's the same with me, right? So now we recognize that. What have you been doing to get an income? Now, is a difference between a job and getting a W-2 and a 1099. 1099 being that you're getting a stipend. So what have you been doing to get an income?
Okay. My first source of income was SSI. By virtue of my age, I was entitled to supplemental security income.
Okay.
And that kicked in for me in, first quarter 2017, I believe it was. And that remained my sole, primary source of income.
Right.
I was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to participate in the Mocha Georgetown University paralegal program.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself, well, if I could just get me a spot in a law firm or with a legal organization somewhere and be able to fill out some forms and and do a few other things that might be required of me that I thought I could do,
Mm-hmm.
So that program provided me with some additional income. At the time, they were giving us a training wage, which was $9 an hour.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's a good training wage.
You think?
Yeah. Train you to be poor.
Yeah, okay. So, I successfully completed the Mocha Paralegal program, and I was promised that if I did that, I'd get a 1-year internship with a law firm or legal services agency organization. But here's where my health, became a serious problem for me. As I said, I had a severely compressed lumbar spine, and shortly after I graduated with the first cohort of the paralegal program, the fellowship, I went in for back surgery. And, I was promised that spot by the director of law students in court. They've changed the name now. It's something different.
Okay.
But at the time, a gentleman by the name of Moses Cook was the director, and he and I had an understanding that I would be coming to work with their organization when I was able to, when I recovered sufficiently from my back surgery. Well, during the time of my recovery, Mr. Moses moved to Russia.
And you know what the crazy part about it? When you speak on your health, and I'm thinking about my own situation. When I got out, after doing 48 years, I'm going to different places, and they telling me yeah, you know, but age. So they ain't saying age. So I'm in the process of seeing what they doing. So I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna get me an age discrimination suit again. So the mayor's office on age, and they was holding like community meetings at one of the rec centers. I have a document, and every time I go someplace, I say, yeah, and they say like, yeah, well, you know, but I say, yeah, I know I'm a little old, but and I'm drawing them in, and they saying things. So I'm good with that, right? And then COVID hit. But more importantly, everywhere I went, when I went in the room, to your point, Mike, I went in the room, it was a lot of young people in there, and I'm saying to myself, like, one, I can't compete with them, nor am I going to try to compete with them, because they deserve the job more than I do in regard to what they getting ready to put themselves through. But in terms of your health, when I came home, I had a knee operation while I was in prison. When I got a physical, when I got out, I found out I had hepatitis C. I found out that I had diabetes. I found out I had cholesterol in my, the whole time I'm in prison, I'm in good shape, I think. And they gave me a knee operation that when I came home, they put it in the wrong way.
It was debacle.
Yeah, so look, I'm walking around, I'm bionic knee on a half. Everything else, I'm a walking medical sick call slip, right? So to your point, Charles, yeah. And this is the whole thing. We saying that when a person leaves in this environment, they leave, the deck is stacked against them. Mike opened the door by saying, well, you stack it on me by saying, titling me a career criminal. Okay, that's going to precede my age. So when they say a career criminal, they see me coming there with a walker. Say, dang, he a whole career criminal. What are you going to do? What are you going to, say, look, stand over there. If you keep me in the corner long enough, I may fall out and faint. And then they say, okay, we ain't got to worry about giving him nothing other than a tag on his toe. But and to your point, Charles, we recognize that age discrimination played a lot role in that. And we want to also observe that in terms of the SSI, now you say that you're getting SSI, and in terms of like your ability to save money, because okay, if you ain't now you got an SSI, and could you actually save your money to try to like establish some type of security, or did you have to spend your money?
And if I want to do the right thing and pay for my own funeral, I can't save a dime, man. I don't want to leave it on somebody else.
Right. So you can't even save no money. Yeah. So in that regard, right, we gonna Mike, we gonna let you go ahead and ask Russell a question.
Okay, Mr. Russell, upon your release, did you have housing?
I did not. I did not. I was definitely in the category of homeless. I've been there before, and that's where I found myself once again upon release from prison.
And that see, this is what I'm saying about just releasing somebody like that. There was an injustice done. Here it is, like I said, upon my assessment. When the client walked through that door, upon their age, I do an assessment. Why would you release that man and not do an assessment? Why? They were supposed to did an assessment on that man so they can better prepare to transition him into society.
There you have it. Solutions from the yard. And we'd like to thank you, Mr. Russell, for joining us today and this insightful conversation. And we look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Solutions from the Yard. This podcast is presented by Voices for a Second Chance, a comprehensive reentry program that provides culturally appropriate, trauma-informed, gender-specific, and peer-based services. For more information, go to info@vscdc.org or visit our website at www.vscdc.org.